I don't want to be a man. I don't want to be part of the men's club. I do, however, harness my strength as a woman, be it my multitasking, be it my emotional intelligence, be it my ability to see things from a point of view that I believe is unique and multifaceted, and I've used that as an avenue to excel. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking all about men and women in the workplace. It's no surprise that men and women in the workplace encounter things differently. We are in the same universe but live in different worlds, be it with regard to pay, promotion, negotiation. There's just a lot of things that happen in the workplace with men and women, and I am coming from my experience as an employment attorney, as an employee, and as an employer. So I have a well-rounded, I think, opinion when it comes to my thoughts about, men and women in the workplace, how the experiences differ, how they each navigate different struggles, and how things just work out for both of us. So before we go ahead and get started, I would like you to subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already, and if you are, also hit the notification button so you get notified when I upload a new video. I upload videos once or twice a week covering a wide variety of topics. So 5 to 6 ways men and women are different in the workplace. The first thing, obviously we know this, right? Men tend to get paid more in the workforce than women. Now, my disclaimer here is that this doesn't apply to everyone. This doesn't apply to every profession. This, I think, is more corporate America specific, more brick and mortar office type of job. This probably doesn't apply to doctors. This probably doesn't apply to like construction workers or cooks, but more corporate, office jobs, brick and mortar type of deal. That's what this tends to apply to. So yes, men tend to get paid more on the dollar than women. We know that for every dollar men make, women tend to get 75 cents. And if it's a black woman, she may get actually 69 cents. So this is not a statistic I'm making up. It's something that's actually well known. It's documented. You can check the Department of Labor. I'll put some links below so you can check that out as well and do your own research. You may ask, why is this? Well, there's a plethora of reasons why that's the case, but we know that men get paid more than women in the workplace for the same job, the same title, the same skill set. It's just the way it is. Thankfully now we have an Equal Pay Act that Congress had passed a couple of years ago, which makes it illegal to pay men and women different amounts for performing the same function. But still, that's a very present reality, and that's something that's there. So that is the first thing we know, and we're starting from that. And I think from that foundation, everything else is going to pretty much trickle down from that area. So that's that. And then women tend to actually multitask more, work on multiple projects than men. Men, in my opinion, tend to be more focused on one thing at a time, trying to get this, process done, trying to focus on this issue, trying to focus on this project, whereas women are more likely to be spearheading groups here and there, engaging in community development as well while they're working on multiple projects. And I think part of that is because women are concerned about being stereotyped, that's sometimes perpetrated that women don't work as hard as men, especially women who've had children or women who are married, and that's something that unfortunately propels women to work harder and make them multitask more at their place of work. And they also worry about perception as not being one of the boys, so that we tend to work twice as hard so we can be seen as one of the guys, so we can be a part of the all boys club and just try to do our best. I have come to respect my role as a woman and my position in society. I don't want to be a man. I don't want to be part of the men's club. I do, however, harness my strength as a woman, be it my multitasking, be it my emotional intelligence, be it my ability to see things from a point of view that I believe is unique and multifaceted, and I've used that as an avenue to excel, and I think that that's something a lot of women can actually hone in on, and I use for their benefit. So yes, women actually absolutely multitask more, tend to engage in more projects than men. The third way men and women differ in the workplace is that men get paid more than women because they tend to not negotiate as much. I have experienced this personally on both ends. I was once a recruiter, and when I contacted men about positions, young men, boys, whatever, the male sex, when I told them this is what a position is offered, 98% of the time they were always like, well, I can do it for $14 an hour, not $13 an hour, or I can do this for $70,000 a year, not $65,000 a year. It's just something that it seems to be innate in men's upbringing or in men's thinking that they can ask for more. Women, on the other hand, we shy away from asking for more. For some reason, we feel like we just need to be complacent with what we're given. We just need to be happy where we are and take what was offered to us and just keep it rolling. Now, I understand it's very difficult to negotiate asking for more. Absolutely. It's very uncomfortable. I'm a fan of, you know, basically speaking your truth, even if your voice quivers. I'm a fan of asking, even if the answer is no. The worst thing that can happen is that the answer will be no, but you asked anyway, so that's important. I've had to negotiate salaries and they told me no. I've had to negotiate salaries and they're like, okay, I can do that. Or I've had to negotiate a salary where they're like, we're not going to do this right now. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a bonus right now, and then in the next 6 months we'll slowly incrementally increase your salary. That's something that, you know, happened, and that's just another way that I was able to do that. As a young attorney, it wasn't easy, but I was, and I believe that I'm one of the few people amongst, even in my circle, that have negotiated their salaries. It's just inconvenient, uncomfortable, but men do it all the time. Plus, there's this societal perception that a man's salary goes a longer way than a woman's salary because the man is perceived to be the head of the household, is perceived to be making more than his wife, which, as we know, is not always the case. And because of that, a man's salary is taken more seriously among HR consultants or among management, because they feel like, oh, he has to provide for his wife, he has to take care of the children, he has to pay for the school fees, he has to, you know, pay tuition and do all of that. So because of that, men are given more bonuses. Men who negotiate tend to receive what they ask for. That is the unfortunate truth. You as a woman, now you have this information, my recommendation is ask for more. Always ask for more, and do your best to try to break out of these stereotypes, because they're doing nothing but holding us back. Another difference between men and women in the workplace is that men and women are equally team oriented. Men and women work well in teams. However, women tend to take more responsibilities on the team than men. So if a team has something to do with outreach, or if the team has a component that may need to do some graphic designing, or if the team has a component that you need to involve customer service or work with lower level employees, women in the team, from my experience, tend to take these responsibilities. Men tend to take responsibilities that showcase them in their best light. So if it's a group project, the men in a group more likely than not sign up for the roles in the team that gives them the most visibility. So they're the ones you see in the boardroom presenting a presentation that they and their co-workers worked on. Some of which were women, but the women did the research or did like the graphic design while the men did the presentation. I know this sounds very archaic, and I know this sounds very like 1960s, but it's actually the reality. We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go, and a lot of these behaviors trickle down. And this is also because a lot of women have issues with public speaking. We don't like to speak in public. I know that's not my strong suit. It's crazy. I have a YouTube channel, right? I'm talking all the time, but it's different. I'm talking to a camera. But the difference is that while men tend to be able to just get past whatever demons they may have or whatever insecurities they may have right in that moment and do what needs to be done, a lot of us women let those things affect us. We worry about our weight. We worry about our clothes. Am I dressing too sexy? Am I dressing too professional? Am I ugly? Is my hair done? What do they think about me? Does this person like me? So those things tend to like seep into our psyche and our semi-conscious, and because of that, when it comes to time where we need to be out there and increase our visibility and show how awesome and badass we are, we tend to back away and do a bunch of work in the back burner, while a lot of men sweep in and get the benefits and get the glory, and we really need to change that. Another thing is that men don't take work as seriously as women. They don't like define themselves based on how others view them. If their bosses don't like them, they're like, whatever, she doesn't like me, I don't care. I'm making my money, I'm keeping it moving, or I'm going to get another job. Women, on the other hand, we define ourselves based on how others see us. We love it when we get feedback. We seek feedback. It's just something in our nature as women. In our relationships, we seek feedback from our friends. We seek feedback from, you know, our supervisors. It's just something that we tend to do. And again, like I said, this doesn't apply to everyone. This is just from my experience being an HR consultant and an employment attorney, understanding the intricacies of work relations, workplace dynamics, and how I've been able to see the role that gender plays in our interaction at work. So yeah, we tend to do the opposite and actually define ourselves based on perceptions that people make of us, and we spend a crazy amount of time trying to, you know, prove people wrong and trying to show them, no, we're actually good at this and blah blah blah. And that's because, again, it's as though we're starting to race behind everybody else, especially if you're a woman of color. I get that, but it doesn't change the fact that this is the reality of the world that we live in today. and we just need to be aware of these things. So next time we're in a boardroom or we're signing up for a new project, we should step in and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Like, we should step in and get that visibility. I can tell you how many times I've had conferences with male attorneys who have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what the law is, but they sound so forceful. They sound like they know what they're saying, and they're very confident in what they're saying. So much so the other parties are usually like, okay, well, he sounds like he got it all together. Not really. Many times I've had to call people out on their SHIT, and I'm like, that's actually not how the process works. This is how it works. Then they're like, oh, well, I guess, you know, we can wing it. So just because you're saying some forceful tone and you sound like you know what you're doing doesn't necessarily mean that you actually know what you're doing. And us women, we need to speak up more in situations like that and call men out on the BS. I'm not a man hater. I am married to a man. I have brothers. I have, you know, friends that are guys. It's nothing personal against the male sex or slash gender. I'm just talking about the role gender plays in the workplace and how these differences tend to be more detrimental to us as women. And here's the deal. Most women think men make better bosses, but I actually think women make better bosses. I've had bosses, male and female bosses, and male bosses tend to give you a level of comfort. Of course, if they're not sexually harassing you, because you don't get that bickering back and forth, and I get it. But actually, a female boss is more likely to go above and beyond for you. Doesn't mean she's not going to be snippy. Doesn't mean she's not going to have some comments. Doesn't mean she's not going to have an attitude one day or the other. She has a lot that she's dealing with. Doesn't mean she's not going to get irritated with you. Doesn't mean she's not going to have her own issues with you. But as far as advocating for you, as far as putting policies in place for the betterment of a company, as far as understanding the role of emotional intelligence and how to navigate through conflicts at work and prevent conflicts and, you know, increase some level of, you know, employee satisfaction, women tend to be better at that. They tend to be better at a CEO level of things like that and at a managerial level of things like that. There was a survey, I can't recall where I read it now, but it was a survey of the Fortune 500 companies, and a whopping 65% of the mid-level employees rated their female bosses to be more favorable to them than the male counterparts. Male employees make better co-workers to women than other women. So if you have co-workers that are predominantly guys, you're more likely to have a friendly, amicable relationship with them than if you had a group of workers that are only women. That's just because the nature of who we are as women. All you need to do is watch any Real Housewives show. All you need to do is watch The Office. All you need to do is read any book written by a woman who's had, you know, a lot of lateral female co-workers who've had issues with them. I'm not saying this is a rule of thumb, but if you do have a lot of female co-workers, you may at some point in time have to deal with woman-to-woman dynamic, which sometimes is not very nice. Women can get very cliquey. Women don't tend to understand that other women are not the enemy. We just tend to take things and just be overly critical of other women for whatever reason, and then be more gentle when it comes to our interaction with men and be more understandable when it comes to them, but we don't cut women that much slack. So if you have coworkers that are male, you're more likely to have fun and have happy hour and just have a good relationship with them and not have a lot of back and forth, except of course the, you know, usual exception. But if you're a woman, not all the time. I've dealt with that in situations, and it was just awful. Those are the differences that I've come up with regard to men and women in the workplace, their interaction, how they deal with each other, how they come across with each other, how a lot of us women tend to put ourselves and our needs and our voice in the back burner, whereas men go out front, whether or not they know what they're doing, and, you know, speak up or increase their visibility, negotiate for their salaries, and just tend to be total bosses, while we who have the boss capacity, I mean, we birth children, for Christ's sake, we tend to put ourselves at the back. So if you're navigating through issues at work, if you have male co-workers who are getting on your nerves, or if you're trying to figure out how to negotiate with your salary, and you just have any of these concerns, I hope this video is helpful for you. I do offer one-on-one employment consultation as an employee or a management side employer. I'll leave my email address below. You can reach out to me and we can have a discussion about what you need and how we can change your perception and how things can work going forward for you. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, please give it a nice, huge, resounding thumbs up. Again, My goal is not to offend anybody. It's just I'm telling you my opinion from my experience coming from a place of knowledge and competence. So be sure to watch my other videos if you're new to my channel. Don't forget to come back for more content. Also check my Instagram page at @It'sInAA where I upload content on a pretty frequent basis. And I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye guys!